Now we move on to the second part of training and development. So we have already seen one part of it, that is the on-the-job training in our previous PPT. Now we will talk about the off-the-job training program. As we know, it is referring to employees where they get trained from the actual workplace. So this is totally different from the on-the-job we have seen, and now we are talking about the off-the-job. So what is the difference we have from that off-the-job, on-the-job, what we have already seen? This particular method, what happens is we are learning with the error-free production rates, and the method is more economical, and this method is more highly time-consuming, and we have to have increase in the productivity urgent. And this training helps to undertake outside the general work. As I told you, the specific work what we do is outside the general work, and it is also a supplementary, so that we can acquire some of the knowledge and we try to discharge the responsibility. Why this particular training is given is to clarify the workers or the trainees about the nature of the work, what type of a role they have to play in the organization, how they have to self-evaluate themselves, and also they can know about how to improve their performance. So we can know how to improve our performance. So we have different capacities. So how to focus on these capabilities and capacities, and here we can get expertized knowledge from different experts. So like we can start from the senior employees to the academicians, or even we have the industrial start board. So these are the persons who give us the expertise training knowledge they try to share with us. And this is also a part of your working hours. So any voluntary training when an individual is undertaking separately based on its personal capacity, so that is a part of it, and that is also trying to boost his skills in the particular. The advantages is it is trying to give a wide range of skills or qualification which can be obtained. We can learn, as I told you, from the industry or the academicians or from your supervisor, and it is trying to create a mind of confidence among the employees, and they can start doing the job, and they are more focusing on the training, and there is no chance of distractions, and there is a wide opportunities for the employees to mix and get the great support. Even they can have some innovative and new ideas. So these are the advantages. Regarding the disadvantages, as I told you, it is not done in the workplace, somewhere near the workplace. So we have to have some accommodations and transport facility. So in that way it can be called as more expensive plans. And regarding the output, the potential output, if it is not proper, then there is a losing the working time, that is labor time is being wasted. New employees has to have some induction training program, so that they are getting accompanied to the new working environment. And if any employee is getting more skills, or there is more qualification he has acquired, then naturally he will quit the job, which will increase our labor turnover. And employees has to be learn how to get motivated themselves. And when it is a very small firm, then this particular method will be having a high cost burden on the employer. So we have the different methods. So one is simulation, vestibular training, case studies, role play, management games, and lecture method. So first we are talking about the vestibular training method. So this is very famous training method, where the employees are especially they are in the manual workers. What happens is the company will train the workers in the factory or some workplace which is near the factory, and there are chances of mishappening with the machinery of the factory. So what happens is they are given similar tools and machines are arranged outside the organization. So the worker will acquire some knowledge or skill by working with the same tools and machinery. And here the employee, what happens is he will try to learn on the equipment. So he can know about the various equipments which is being used, and the one focus is the workplace is totally different from the actual training place. So this we can even call it as a lab method of training, where we have vestibular labs or that is being stimulated with the actual work environment, and the trainee is getting trained, and this allows employees to feel free. Yes, I have learning without any pressure, that is real work pressure. So I have taken the picture of the vestibular training methodology, and it is more useful for machinery type of handling machineries or something like that. And before going for this real training, what is happening is the trainees are being trained in the attached labs, or where they get the workshops, or where to the main production units, so they can easily identify the names of the machinery, how it is being operated. All these things are being explained to them through the instructors. So this training is very systematic, and we can learn it in a progressive way. So first they try to learn, and only they go for the second step. So this is giving them the greatest satisfaction and confidence to the trainees, and also saving the mishandling or misuse of the costly equipments. Same way, as I told you, it also has some because it requires more space for the equipment or spare equipment, and we need specific instructors, and we need some lab specifically for this. So it is a somewhat costlier training operations, and this involves several workstations, and even there are more manipulation of the performing of the. Next one is case study method. In this case study method, we have a participatory discussion where we discuss. So everybody sit together and they try to discuss based on the problem based learning method. So we can increase your knowledge, that is skill knowledge in critical thinking, or we can even improve the group dynamics, that is exertion of the group force, or improve the communication skills. And this method is more like a similar like a classroom, where we have small groups, and it is like any business conference. They give the opportunity for the employees, workers to analyze and come with their own ideas or solutions. So it is giving them an opportunity to give effective solutions, and this will enhance their critical and the idea innovative thinking or creative thinking on the employees. So the creative capability can be increased skill. And this is a written description method, as I told you, where the reader has to know or read the full case, and they have to decide what is being happening and what is the real situation is about, and what are the problems which are associated with, and how to give a solution towards. So we have to take from the actual experience of the organization, and this case what they do is they try to represent actually what has been done. So they give the real problems that manager has already faced. So the trainee, what they do is they study the whole case, they try to analyze the cause, why it is happening, and they try to develop different alternative solutions, and they also select what are the best alternative solutions which can be worked out, and even they go for debating and defending their own choices. So this case study is also a stimulating decision making method, whereby the trainee participants, they have an excellent opportunity to develop their own analytical and judgmental abilities. So what happens is this is a very ideal method in order to develop your cognitive decision making ability with some of the constraints of the limited data. So this type of case study methods are always used when we have more problems or issues which is confronted by the organization. So we can have problematic issues, and it also gives us the stories where we can learn about the success stories of from the case studies. So next method is incident method. This incident method is based on the real actual situations which has happened in different environment or different organizations, and each employee, they are giving some training, and each employee has to give their own decisions if it is their real life situations. So what they do is every employee is given a chance to give their decisions, and they work out the group decisions based on the individual decisions given by the employees, and based on the individual decisions they take the group decisions. So what happens is they have to give their reactions to the incident, and based on their ideology they try to bring out the group decision method. And the advantages, we have a interview schedule or questionnaires which are being given, and they can have the option of flexible mode where they can use this for multi-using system, and it tries to identify some rare events which they would have missed out by different methods. And this method is very useful when they have some problems and where we are not very much sure about the severity, how severe the problem could be. And this method is very inexpensive, as we only go for the questionnaire or the interview method. And the main disadvantage is this critical incident method, they really depend on the memory. See, how do I code based only on the memory, what I can recall? So that is, incidents maybe sometimes you can talk about some unreported incidents also. So this can be, it is sometimes this incidents would have happened recently, then I can recall easily. Some incidents has happened very long time, it will be, I cannot recall the whole incident. So that is one of the disadvantages. And here what happens is we are not talking about the common events. We are only talking about something like some severity or rare events. So respondents, as I told you, we are using questionnaires or interview over here. The respondents who are giving us the result, that is their opinion, they may be sometimes willing to tell or willing to write, or they even give a complete story in a critical form, like describing the whole critical incident. So these are the disadvantages of. Now the simulation method. So first we have to see what is called a simulation. So this is a training exercise which tries to recreate an event which could actually happen. So we are trying to participate in the experience of the situations. So these are more complex form of role playing which is used as an hands-on training. Like we have some aircraft training or some moon mission training. All these are example for simulation methods. So when this method can be used is when we have an effective and elaborate demonstration. This method is giving a best result, and it is more suitable for the moderate or a very large size group. And this is more suitable for disaster, rescue or crisis management training exercises. This simulation, we try to learn about the visualization and we engage in the productive engagement. It tries to create interest. We gain the hands-on experience, and it gives us the quality of training can be improved, right, to fail safely. So these are the things which we get out of the simulation technique. So this is an imaginary situation where the worker is asked to work and they act based on the situations which will show them their viewpoints. So based on their set of situation, there are a lot of viewpoints. So for example, if you take the sales manager, if he is trying to solve some issues where we have to talk about a new sales strategy. So what happens is he will try to replicate some certain important characteristics with the real world situation so that the trainees can react to it and they can have the real experience and they can even have a real knowledge gaining with the base of the actual work practices. So here this training method of simulation will really help you to improve the training knowledge, especially with respect to your cognitive and your decision making and behavior skills present in the. Next one is a role playing. So as we know, we have different roles to play. So as far as the trainees, they have some real life business situations which are requiring interpersonal reactions, and each role they have to play based on their role which has been assigned to them, and they have to understand the situation and they can respond from each other party. So what happens is they try to choose a person and give them some role, and he moves on with the statement, and it is like a dialogue, and based on that they should not forget for the basic purpose of why what they are doing it. So based on the role what has been conferred to them, and this role play is much helpful in order to develop the personal skill, customer relation skill, or the human relation skill. So in role play what happens is, they, as I told you, they have to increase their interpersonal skill, they will try to increase their communication skill, then they have to improve their group decision making skill, and they also develop insights into different situations or the roles they have to play. And regarding conflict, so we know conflict is a disinterest or some issues which is happening inside a person or within a group. So he will try to find out a resolution, how to solve this conflict based on the role he has to play. So as an individual, he has different roles to play, and there can be a role conflict, and he should know how to resolve the role conflict which is arising inside an individual when he is under the training process. Now the another important concept is business games. So what is this business games is, it is like developing some decision making skills. The trainees in the group, what they do is they participate, and they are being divided into teams. So each team try to compete with each other in order to achieve some business goals in the given external and internal environment. So they use available resources, and they also plan their team strategy. They define their functional goals for their members. They try to allocate resources. They also look into the plan, action programs, prepare the budgets or the schedules, or try to coordinate the program, or even they have to take the functional in charge. So they have lot of work to do. So they work as a competitive team, they plan and they try to work better. So in business game, what they do is they try to create, facilitate each other, and they have an independent playing schemes. They try to design their games like training programs, and they try to have what is called as games for learning and development. And now there is a very important concept as called as gamifications. So we have a lot of gamification theories for learnings, and we have this blended mode where we have online or offline, whatever it is, we have a combination of the blended mode. These are the called as the gamified training and blended learning programs. So this is how they develop the business. And important another topic is in basket exercise. So in basket means it can be inside a basket or a tray. That is a colloquial meaning of it. So what they learn from this in basket training is they try to work efficiently, and they try to identify what are the key issues, and they try to set priority. Priority means set 1, set 2, which one to be done, 1, 2, 3, like they give the priority. And they always try to anticipate the problem. What could be the problem you will be facing? So based on the problems, how to explore the issues or problems, how to learn from the issues, and they also suggest the options. Based on the various options they have found out, they make recommendations and they give the reasons. So in this in-basket training, the trainee manager, what he does is he gives the real situation, and they are placed on the job for which they are asked, and they get trained. So they will be given 2 baskets, and what they do is in basket, in which they have 2 baskets. As I told you, it is one is in basket, another one is out basket. So in basket, what they do is they get the decisional problem, and it is given up and in a one thing, and in out basket where the trainees decisions are passed on. So the trainee takes actual decision under the watchful eyes of the experienced managers, and at the end they get the decisions, and those decisions are being discussed, understood, evaluated, and the abilities of the decision making skill are identified by the trainee manager. Sensitive training. So here what happens is we have some group. So it is a combination of small number of trainees. Usually there will be 10 to 12 in a group, and they have a passive trainer, and they have to get some insight into their own and the behavior and sensitiveness. That is very important. That is called as sensitives. So what they do is they don't have any meeting or agenda. It is like held away from the workplace. That is why it is called as of the training program, and they have some questions, and they have a group process. So what has been done is there is a discussion focus on why participants behave like this, how do they perceive each other, and how do they generate the feelings or their emotions, what we call as emojis, in the interaction processes. So something they have which is called as old values, they try to unfreeze their old values, they try to develop new values, and they try to freeze the new values, put into the action the new values. This is called a method. So the objective of the sensitive training method is they are making the participants increasingly aware of, sensitive towards. They try to know the emotional reactions, expressions about each other. That is very important of the sensitive training program, and it also focuses on how to increase the ability of the participants to perceive, to learn from, and what could be the consequences of their actions through their attention to their own feel and other feelings. So we have to understand what could be the consequences of their reactions about our own feelings and other feelings. It is also trying to stimulate and also clarify and develop the personal values and goal consonants. So with a democratic and scientific approach, we can solve our own personal problems and also solve the social problems and take social decisions and have some actions towards it. That is what I told you, creating new ideas. So we try to develop achievement of behavior effectiveness of the participants, and also it tries to develop some concepts or theoretical framework which will try to link the goals of the individual with the personal values, and also they have to know about the inner factors and what are the situations which are required to go for this sensitive training programs. So they should know about their own emotional sessions. Then we have the experimental exercise. This is very short. We have to have some structured learning experience where the individuals will be learning by doing. So as I told you, conflicts. So how they try to manage the conflicts. So they have an artificial conflict situation is created, and the employees will be called and asked to deal with that, and they have to develop a resolution for it. So after doing this exercise, the facilitator will come, will discuss what has happened, and they will introduce a theoretical concept so the members can explain and learn about the behavior during their exercise. Then we have the computer modeling. This is somewhat complex method. So what happens is we try to stimulate the work environment through some programs. We have a computer, and based on the immediate some of the realities of the job. So this is more useful in the airlines for training the pilots. So if there is any error has happened due to the simulation, then we can learn through this mistake. So this is called as computer model. And we have the lecture method, and we know one person will be giving us lecture and all the other person will be learning. Even sometimes we can even ask our own questions, we can clarify our doubts. This is the benefit of this lecture method, and this method is very effective, where the instructor will be an expert and he will plan and he will talk about. So he will be considering the who are the audience. So what type of audience we have, and what they have to do, and what the instructor has to do, and what is the time period, and how he has to convince his students or while through his lecturing. So he has to be giving a lecture which should be very brief, it should be point to point, and he should present the theme, that is a subject theme, in a manner so that people having interest. Only when you have an interest, so the instructor will have to inculcate an interest in the audience from the start. So what happens is, the speaker should be poised, you should be courteous and very sincere, and even you can have some gestures, like actions also can be done, so that it cannot be monotonous, and there are affectionates or extremely distracting and annoying. So this is very, very important, where we use some simple language, and there should be very less chance of being misunderstood. Advantages is it is very cost effective, it is one of the very efficient method in order to have latest knowledge, and we can cover large number of trainings. But the limitation is, there is a very little opportunity, as I told you, we'll be only listening, we cannot be an active practice, or even with the knowledge of results or the transfer of learning cannot be much identified. And this is very dangerous, because when we learn much about a thing, we will be having too much or too little time, even that can be a problem. And this method cannot meet the individual differences, because we are not talking about the learner, we are talking all of the learner, we are not talking about the learner's background, their personality and their level of motivation, which will be different from each individual. The next method is conferences method, and here what happens is, several people with having some ideas and some theme, they try to discuss on a particular topic, and we call it as a conference, where each worker will try to analyze and discuss various problems on the topic. So this method will enable each worker to express their own points, so they can give their substantial points, and this will be encouraging all the employees, or that is the members in the group, so that they can exchange their own ideas, opinions or criticisms. So here what happens is, in a smaller group discussion, the leader plays a neutral role, and he will be giving us a guidance and feedback. So that is the importance of the third. And this conference method is also called as a discussion method. And here what happens is, this is more effective when the material needs, whatever is there, that can be clarified or elaborated, and even we can have lively discussions. So this lively discussion, what will happen is, it will make the person who is listening to understand what are the implications or problem. Even they can have some effective solutions to the problem at that particular time. So the objective of this method is, it is trying to develop some decision making and problem solving skills among the participant. We can even present new ideas, sometimes complex ideas and complex concepts. Through conference method, we can even change the attitude, modify the attitude through this group discussion. So this conference method is purely based on the principle of learning, participation and feedback. So these are the glimpses of this conference. Then we have the programmed instruction method, and this is called as a learning or teaching machine, and it was introduced in late 1950. So mostly when it was introduced, it was given for school and industrial applications. In programmed instruction, what we do is, we give the program to be learned, which will be highly organized, and we have logical sequences. So the trainee has to learn, and he will respond based on his immediate learning capability, and the learner will give the feedback based on his answer. So this is a step-by-step process, and first one is, they will present the question, facts or problem to the learner and make them to respond. So the trainee will be allowed to respond, and they give the feedback on the accuracy of the answer. The feature is, the trainees, they learn at their own place. So the instructors are not keep a part of the learning, because questions are given and they are allowed to answer. The material to be learned is broken down. As I told you, it is a step-by-step process. We have different stages, and each stage is logically built up so that you can proceed based on the stage at each stage. So you will be getting immediate knowledge of the results for each answers he gives, and this is an active participation by the learner, where we have each step of program, and this program instructions, they give elaborate teaching machines, films, even sound tapes, or they give the program books. Sometimes illustrations are given, printing material, even they give diagrams for better understanding. So the main core feature of this program and instruction is to make the trainee to give a feeling of participation and to get the immediate feedback. That is the reason why we have this programmed instruction. This is a logically sequenced method of training. Now we have the modern another method, which is called as vocational training method. So this vocational training method has gained lot of importance in most of the programs, and this method is a facilitative process whereby the expert will be advising his individual employees about the type of jobs, what are the careers which suits him based on their interest, based on their aptitude and ability. So based on their willingness, they try to take the job or positions in the organization. Even they can look for the jobs in the employment market. So what happens is the expert will be acting as a vocational trainer, or he is called as a career counselor, and he will be guiding all his new employees from the selection of right assignment for replacement. He also gives the employees the selection of their career goals. So based on the ability, their interest, aptitude or abilities, they can choose. So the option is given and they give the right assignment, so based on which they can go for selection, career selection. So here also we have different stages or steps. So first what they do is they try to collect information from the candidate and his parents about his past history, and they secure information about the candidate's aptitudes and interests through various psychological tests, and based on his occupational abilities through various trade tests also there, and they try to make an opinion about the candidate's talents, interest and his potential competency. Then what they do is they try to match the candidate's ability with the various jobs or positions which are available in the organization. Then they give the vocational advice and give them the guidance to the candidate how they can learn and get benefited out of this vocational guidance.